If it bothers, if it will bother you.
Yeah, it may. All right. All set. Hello, my name is Major Gregory H. Arabian. I'm Judge Advocate of Post 41 AMVETS in Watertown, Massachusetts. And what we're doing today is conducting an oral history in connection with the oral history program. Today we have a member of Post 41 whose oral history we're taking, and his name is Anthony Seferian. Is that right, Tony?
That's correct.
Okay. And Tony, tell us something about the fact of your service. Did you enlist, or were you drafted?
I was drafted. I tried to enlist, but my mother wouldn't sign.
How old were you when you...
Yeah, I was 19 by the time I was drafted.
You were 19.
Yeah.
19 years old.
Yeah.
And where did you go to get inducted?
At Fort Devens.
Mm-hmm.
And from there we went to Aberdeen Proving Ground for basic training, then technical training. And
so if I can back up a bit,
yeah.
You were drafted into the Army. Is that correct?
I had my choice. In that particular period, we had our choice.
Uh-huh.
Naturally, I'm not going to volunteer for the infantry.
Okay, so what did you volunteer for?
I was working for the Watertown Arsenal in those days, and I was a trainee as a machinist, so I picked the ordnance.
I see. Mm-hmm. And how long had you worked at the Arsenal before you went into...
1 year.
1 year. I see. And at age 19, you were drafted into the Army, and you went into the Ordnance?
Ordnance, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's like ammunition.
Ordnance, ammunition, anything to do with
anything to
artillery, tanks.
Okay. And when you were inducted into Devens, you had your basic training there, did you?
No, we had it at Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Aberdeen Proving Grounds.
Yeah.
Was that Maryland?
Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where were you born and raised, Tony?
Watertown, all the way.
You were born in Watertown, raised in Watertown? Yeah. And where did your family come from?
They come from Marash, Turkey.
Mm-hmm. And when did they come over here?
1920.
And where did they get married?
They were married when they came here. They were already married
in Marash, Turkey, and came over here.
Yeah.
And then how soon after were you born?
I was born in 1923.
23.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's about 4 or 5 years?
About 3 or 4 years.
3 or 4 years after you came along.
There was some kid in between that died, but...
And how large was your family when you were in Watertown?
I was the only boy with 5 sisters.
5 sisters? Okay. And your educational background?
High school and trade school after I got out of the service.
Watertown High?
Watertown High, yeah.
And then after you got out of the service, you went into trade school?
Trade school, Wentworth Institute.
Wentworth?
Yeah.
Okay. And at the time of the war, were you married, single?
Oh, 19, no, single.
All right. And tell us something about your basic training in the Aberdeen Proving Grounds. What were you doing down there?
Well, we had 6 weeks of basic training for infantry training, and then we had a pick of our the type of organization we wanted to go in. I picked ordnance, and so they sent me down, and me and all the others that were inducted with me that day at Devens, we went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for tank training.
Tank training?
The artillery on the tank.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's put this into time perspective. You were drafted in what year?
1943, January 43.
43. Okay, that's 2 years, about 2 years after Pearl Harbor, wasn't it? And they were still giving you a choice as to what you wanted to do?
A little over a year. No, December 41. 2 years, yeah.
About 2 years after Pearl Harbor. Okay. And so you went down to Aberdeen for a year. That's around 1944.
No, it wasn't a year, 3 months.
3 months?
3 months, yeah.
And then you went to Fort Knox?
Fort Knox, yeah.
And they had a tank training school there?
So, yeah. I went to the artillery training school, where you blindfoldedly take the weapons off the tank and put it back again.
Oh, so this is artillery that'll be attached to a tank.
Yes, yeah.
What kind of, do you remember?
At that time, the M4s had 75 millimeter the cannon on it. Later on, they got 109, I guess.
And was that a Sherman tank?
Yeah,
This was
Sherman.
75 millimeter.
Yeah.
So you had to disassemble the artillery on the tank and put it back together again.
Yeah, we were specialists on that. Yeah.
Okay. And did you have anything to do with the ammunition on that?
No, no.
How do they store the ammunition aboard a Sherman tank?
Racks. There are racks.
Inside?
Inside, yeah.
How did you feel going inside the tank?
Well, that wasn't during wartime. I wouldn't want to be in one during a battle because it's a steel coffin, they say.
It is.
Later on, we found out how much of a steel coffin it is.
How many people were in the? How many? What was
Well, a crew was
tank
5.
consist of?
Crew of 5.
5 in
5.
one tank?
Yep.
What do they do? Remember?
The driver and assistant driver in front, and the people that operated the artillery in back.
In the back.
In the back, yeah.
There is a front and a back. There's enough room to have a front and a back.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you had two drivers in front.
Yeah.
And two artillerymen in back.
The assistant driver was also the machine gunner.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. And these people in back that handled the artillery, did they actually load and shoot the artillery?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And where was the 5th one? He was the tank commander, was he?
One was a tank commander.
And where did
It varied, so
Okay.
yeah.
And did you learn anything about the operation of a tank?
We learned how to move it from one place to another, just so during the actual battle, our job was to pick up disabled tanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the ordnance company. Somebody has to take care of them. Disabled tanks. If you can drive it, you drive it. Otherwise, you'd have to be in a wrecker to load it on a wrecker.
And did you actually do that?
We did. That's part of the job of our company. Yeah.
Okay. What organization were you with? What battalion?
Oh well, I was with an ordnance company. Was attached to a division, 5th Armored Division.
Okay. What army were you with? The 3rd, the 4th? The
Well, in France, when we landed, I was with Patton. We went all the way to Germany with him.
I see. So that would have been the 3rd Army. Is that correct?
That's the 3rd Army, yeah.
Okay. Now, how did you feel about the war when you went in?
Very confident that we're going to win out, that's all.
Did you go in out of any feeling of repaying the country for having it for the benefits that your parents had when they came over here from the old country? Did you have any feelings of loyalty to the United States?
At that time, at 19, I didn't have those deep feelings. I didn't have it. You only think of survival.
So you did what you had to do.
I had to do it, and I would have done it under any circumstance.
But you recognized your duty.
Oh, yes, sure.
And you had no problem going into the service?
No problem at all.
How did your parents feel?
Well, my mother, our mothers are, they worry.
Worry. Okay. And so what rank did you attain in the service?
Eventually, technician 5th grade, T5.
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 And did that entitle you to a number of chevrons or?
2.
2 chevrons.
Two stripes, yeah.
Okay. And you say, okay, so pick it up from where you were after basic training at Fort Knox. Where did you go from there?
At that time, the North African campaign was going on, and they sent us down to the Arizona desert for desert training.
Oh boy, that must have been hard.
Terrible. Yeah. And during the hot months, too.
Oh.
And by the time we got finished with our training, the North Africa was finished.
Really?
Yeah, it got finished.
So you didn't actually go to North Africa?
No.
But Patton had been there.
Patton was there, yeah.
Yeah. Did he come back? Did he come back to join you? Or did you go and join him?
We weren't associated with him at that time. He was appointed 3rd Army commander before the invasion took place, Omaha Beach.
Okay.
And we joined them there at Omaha Beach.
Okay. Did you go in on Omaha Beach?
No, not yes, but not D-Day.
Yeah.
We have heavy equipment that we needed, space to land the heavy equipment on. We went in on LSTs. Tank, the front opens up,
I see.
and the tanks drive up in shallow water,
And
through
the
shallow water.
LST is a
Landing
abbreviation for landing ship tank.
Yeah.
Okay. And are these what they call the Higgins boats? Did you recognize them?
Higgins boats are for infantry.
Uh-huh.
And that LST is both infantry and tanks.
I see.
We were in with our tanks.
I see.
The ones we were.
Did you ever come across any of these tanks that were supposed to have floated or supposed to have breathed underwater, that could run underwater?
We crossed the Ruhr River in Germany and the Rhine River that way.
You did?
Yes.
And
Yes.
did you cross on bridges?
Bailey bridges, and some people. We even drove the ducks. You know the ducks in Boston
yes,
now.
Yes.
We used the Navy loaned us some of those ducks to cross the Rhine River.
These are the amphibious.
The amphibious.
Vehicles.
Right.
Did you know combat engineers such as Eddie Hiroshin
No.
or any of those boys that
No, not at that
actually put
time.
the Bailey bridges across?
I see them. They did a wonderful job on that. Yeah.
Some people say that while they were doing the Bailey bridges, they were under fire from the German 88s.
I can
Did
believe
you see
that.
that?
I can believe it. Yeah.
You can believe it?
Yeah.
Now, going back to your experiences at Normandy Beach, when did you first go aboard at Omaha Beach? When did you first land?
Well, it was about 3 or 4 weeks after the original landings, and they had gone inland enough for us to safely bring all our heavy equipment, set up shop, and wait for our orders. And we were attached to Patton, and he was a little undisciplined general. You probably know about that.
Yeah.
And he kept going, and the only way they could stop him is cut off his gas supply for his
Oh,
tanks.
you mean Patton was a little bit undisciplined?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
But going back on this landing, keeping in mind that the landing, the Omaha Beach landing, was on June 6, 1944, I believe.
Yeah.
You would have landed there, say, somewhere
The
around
end of June.
End of June?
End of June, yeah.
Okay, and just before the 4th of July.
It was before the 4th of July, yeah.
Okay, do you recall 4th of July of 1944?
We were in just outside of St. Lo, Normandy. And we try to keep as close to our combat troops as possible. But if they keep moving, we have to keep moving with them. So you'll be unpacking and packing every other day.
And how did you move? On trucks or tanks or trucks?
Trucks and the tanks we had in the shop trying to fix if they could be moved.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. And you say...
We had shop trucks because we were machinists,
Oh, yes.
machinists, lathes and drills and...
Okay. Tell me some of the things you used to do to repair these tanks.
Once the war got started and kept rolling, you didn't have much time for heavy repair. The heaviest repair was changing the engine. They didn't try to fix the engine. They just took it out and put another one in, and half an hour was ready to go
Really?
again. Yeah. So they'd take the whole engine and take them to a back area, and that's what they took their time fixing.
What kind of engines did these tanks use?
I think Chrysler.
How many?
Chrysler
One of
engine.
them? How many?
How many
I've
horsepower?
heard- no, I heard that they used to use about 2 Chrysler engines on PT boats, for instance.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
wondering, did they use 1 Chrysler engine
The
per
one
tank?
heavy, yeah. That's
Any idea?
I
what the
forget the capacity now,
Yeah.
but it was a heavy capacity.
Uh-huh. So when you went in with a supply of extra engines. Is that correct?
It was set up very good. Whoever organized it, we had a short supply, but we also had to go and chase, get stuff from depot companies
I see.
further back in the line.
Now, other than changing the engines, what else did you do?
small arms. We had special guys doing that. You know, just if you're specialized in small machine guns, you
In other words, a
small
machine
arms
gun-
district section. We had a small arms section, small weapons section, and we never changed the barrels. With all our training we had, we never got to change the barrels of a tank.
This is the machine gun of the tank.
No,
the artillery.
75,
75
yeah,
millimeter.
75.
Right, right.
We never got to change that.
So, but you did have an occasion to change what would a machine gun?
Machine guns,
jam or something?
they jam and
Okay,
well, kept clean, you know.
okay, and so this is the type of work that you were involved in.
Yes.
Now, did you ever cannibalize one tank to make another one run?
Always. Yeah.
Okay, so it wasn't always that you took something new and put it into an old tank. You sometimes cannibalized.
Get it back online. Get it back online as fast as you can.
Do you recall any of the bigwigs coming back and asking you why you haven't done it faster or slower or anything like that?
We got a couple of unit citations, so I don't know about any criticism, but we got a couple of units.
You did,
yeah.
for the job that you were doing.
Yeah.
When you say rationing about gasoline, you said that's one of the ways that they slowed Patton down. They didn't do that until he was about to enter Berlin, wasn't that right? Or was it before then?
No. He got as far as Luxembourg, right before the German border. But there was a lot of opposition in between, and then the army didn't like that, so they pulled him back by holding up his gas supply.
Do you recall this outfit called the Big Red One?
Those are the ones that supplied the gasoline.
I see.
Yeah.
And did you have anything?
Oh, Big Red One, the outfit.
Yes.
1st Division. Yeah.
Yes. Did they supply you with the gas and everything?
What do you quartermaster?
Yeah.
the
So much
ones.
scrounging going around there?
All the time. All the.
One unit would steal from another.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, trying to bluff.
And you say that Patton went as far as Luxembourg. You would have gone from Omaha Beach, Normandy. No, Luxembourg is a little to the north, isn't it?
Northeast, yeah.
Okay. And was that before the Battle of the Bulge, or was it after?
That was before.
Before the Battle of the Bulge. Okay. And tell us where else you went.
Well, we got as far as Luxembourg. Eventually, we went back again.
Yeah.
And then our unit was transferred to the 9th Army. Now, 9th Army was under Montgomery, and there was a 5th Division that our unit was attached to, and it was up in Holland, Maastricht, Holland, right on the German border, when the Bulge started.
Yes. Yes.
And when the Bulge started, everybody became an infantryman.
I see.
Yeah.
All right. And tell us, were you involved in the Battle of the Bulge?
We were involved as far as manning intersections, watching out for paratroopers dressed as American soldiers.
They did tell you about that.
Yes, and we took 2 weeks of training too, retraining.
Really?
Before we went, they put us in the line.
How would you identify a German dressed and acting like an American?
It happened to us. Eddie Seferian, I don't know if you know him or not.
I heard of him. Yeah.
He was with me the 3 years I was in the service with. They put us at an intersection with a tank, right in the middle of the intersection to slow up anybody if they came along.
Right.
One night we were on duty, and I says, Eddie, we're sitting ducks up in this turret. Well, you go on one side of the road and I go on the other side of the road, and if anybody comes, we can get them from both sides, you know?
Okay.
So one night,
But was the tank empty?
the tank was empty.
And you were on one side.
Yeah.
All right.
They could
Okay.
shoot all they want at the
Okay.
tank. Well, anyway, this Jeep, we could see the lights coming out of a Jeep coming up, and they had to stop when they got to the intersection, and we stuck a rifle right in the driver's nose, and they were telling us there was Germans disguised as American soldiers. So I asked them, who's Babe Ruth? Man, I don't know, he says. obviously a kid from the South,
Yeah.
a rebel, you know.
Yeah.
I said, Eddie, let him go.
So even though he didn't know who Babe Ruth was, you let him
No,
know.
he was scared of shit like us.
All right.
I didn't mean to say that.
It's all right. We'll edit the film. What else? Give us some of. Was that the only experience you had stopping people?
Fortunately, yes. Yeah, that's it. That's about it. But we had to drive. We were drafted to drive. We forgot about ordnance for a few
You were
weeks.
actually driving this tank.
Well, we moved it to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was just you and Eddie Cernosian
Yeah.
in the tank.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Let me just go through some of these rivers that you went over. Do you remember the rivers that you went over?
Yeah. Right at where we were was a Roar River, about the size of the Child River.
Uh-huh.
And that was the first obstacle, and that stopped us for several weeks to the whole army
Until they could get the Bailey Bridges?
until February 22nd. I'll never forget the date because it was George Washington's birthday,
Uh-huh.
and at that time, and
45?
that was 44.
44.
And on the night of George Washington's birthday, all the artillery within 13 miles from the area we were supposed to land in, they bombarded it for 3 hours. And the Navy gave us some ducks to drive across, get the troops across. And there was no pieces of, the pieces of trees the size of matchsticks. So nobody could have lived through that period. And we had no opposition at all.
Okay. So you actually went across the Roar in the ducks.
Ducks and Bailey Bridges also.
Okay. Did you see Bailey Bridges on the Roar River?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah.
And were these on pontoons so the tanks could have gone over them? Did you see
Vehicles. We've seen vehicles go over it. Yeah.
Okay.
The vehicles.
Didn't see any tanks.
6x6
6x6.
or 4x4s.
Okay. And then now the Roar connected what part of Europe to what part of Europe?
It ran north and south,
Uh-huh.
just like the Rhine did.
Between Germany and France?
No, it was all in Germany.
All in Germany.
All in Germany, yeah.
Okay. How about the Rhine?
The Rhine was north and south. No, it bent right at the area we were and went into Holland.
So you crossed the Rhine as well?
We had to cross the Rhine as well.
And did you see Bailey Bridges there too?
Yes, there had to be.
And how did you cross it? In a vehicle or a tank or a duck?
At that time, we crossed it in a Bailey Bridge.
Ah, you did.
Yeah, at that time.
In tanks
In tanks.
and trucks?
Yeah, very slow
Yeah,
process.
yeah.
Very
Did
slow.
you see how the Bailey Bridges would be built? Did you see them actually building?
No, not actually building, no.
Okay. Were you under fire at the time?
No, no.
You weren't. Okay. And how far into Germany did you actually go?
To the Elbe River, which is 50 miles from Berlin.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you cross the Elbe?
Nobody crossed the Elbe. The Russians came over
Ah.
and greeted us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That was Russian territory, according to Potsdam.
I see. So the Russians stayed on the far side of the Elbe, and we stayed on the near side of the
But
Elbe.
a contingent of them came over to have a drink of vodka
Yeah.
and celebrate and dance. And that was about it.
Now there are some films that show the Americans and the Russians dancing and celebrating on the banks of the Elbe. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, I've seen it on TV.
Yeah. So that actually happened.
That happened, sure.
Was there any ill will between you and the Russians, or
Not a bit.
okay? So
Not a
you,
bit.
you had agreed who's going to go so far.
That was agreed on, and we could. The Germans were surrendering to us because they knew how.
They knew what was going to come.
Yeah.
Did anybody ever surrender to you personally?
Geez, we took a lot of chances. We'd go down the road, Germans on both sides. This is the last days of the war.
Yeah.
They're trying to surrender to us.
Right.
Well, what are we going to do with it? We're an ordnance company. It wasn't our job.
I see.
So, but they were all disarmed, and there wasn't that much danger, although they could have
They could have blown you apart.
I mean, they could have. Who knows?
So what you were doing is you were working in ordnance in actual German territory, surrounded by Germans who were surrendering to you.
The last few days of the war, yeah.
This doesn't say much of the master race, does it?
No, but you know, during the last days of the war, they had all kinds, kids, 15-year-old kids, old men. They weren't the cream, they weren't the SS or anybody like that.
You didn't, so could you say that you ran up against stiff resistance when you were in the infantry?
Some people met stiff resistance. They did.
So you went as far as the Elbe, and you maintained your work in ordnance up till the time that up till what time?
Well, May 8th was the VE day, and we waited a few days, and they shifted us to Camp Lucky Strike in northern France to go back home.
Camp Lucky Strike.
Yeah, and that's in northern France, and
Okay.
near Reims, where the peace treaty was signed, Reims, France.
Right.
And after a few days, they said, you haven't got enough points. So
Okay.
we got shifted to Austria.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Okay.
Austria. And our job there was to pick up all the war goods and
Recycle the tank parts and the artillery and.
all the ordnance equipment the Army had. And that's where we.
Well, if they had surrendered, why were you picking up all this stuff? Weren't you just going to just discard it, or did they want to use it for future, keep it for future?
Well,
use?
there was that included vehicles too, jeeps, trucks. Yeah.
All right. Tell us, while you were in the service, was it all combat, or did you have some social life there?
Oh, I can't say things over here on TV.
No, but did the Red Cross serve you in the USO? And
I got a donut one time.
you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. How was the feeling towards the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, or the USO? How did the troops feel towards these organizations?
Well, there was not much feeling, except everybody was, I want to go home toward the end, you know.
Oh, I see.
And
But while you were there, you were doing your duty.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And how was the GI food, or did you live on rations all the time?
The only time we lived on rations was the first 3 or 4 weeks in France, when things weren't organized yet, you know. And so after that, we got every outfit has its own kitchen unit, and they always had a detail that went ahead and set up the tents for
So you had field kitchens,
field kitchens, yeah.
and you had hot food
Most of the time.
most of the time.
Yeah.
And but on these K rations, what did they consist of?
The what?
What did the K rations consist of?
Can of cheese, sometimes mixed with bacon. A hard candy bar that would break your jaw breakers we used to call them.
Okay.
And then you had C rations, which were better than K rations.
Okay.
They had a can that had its own warming unit underneath it, and you just turn a key or something, and inside it would warm up the food.
Was this like a sterno? Did it actually?
Sterno.
Sterno.
Sterno, that's the
Okay.
word. Yeah.
So you actually were able to heat food and have hot food even
When you got
if you didn't
the
have the field kitchen, but you had a field kitchen most of the time.
most of the time.
How
Yeah.
was your entertainment? Did you have any entertainment?
Well, we saw Bob Hope
You
in
did.
Germany. Yeah.
When did you see him?
It was after the war. It was a few months after the war.
Now you say you went from the Elbe. Whereabouts on the Elbe were you? Near any city?
Not the Danube now, the Elbe.
The Elbe.
The Elbe.
Yeah, yeah.
That was 50 miles from Berlin.
How wide a river is the Elbe?
It's not that big. It's about the size of the Charles River.
Charles River?
Yeah.
You mentioned the Danube. Have you been on the Danube as well?
Yes, yes.
What do you think of the Danube?
When we were in Austria, that was 6 months after the war. They had a cruise, a long cruise that we went on.
And that
This
goes
was-
north and south too.
It went north and south until it got to Holland. Then it branched off towards the North Sea.
And how wide is the Danube?
It's wide at one. It's not blue, by the way. It's not blue. It's brown.
Like the Charles River was. Huh? Okay. And did you have to do Bailey bridges across these rivers too?
No, but the Danube we saw after the war. It was the Rhine that we had to have the Bailey bridges across.
Okay. Were you anywhere around Remagen?
Not at that time, but 50 years later, when I visited the 50th anniversary of the war, we went to the site of the Remagen. All that's left there is the columns, the columns on both sides of the river.
I see. So they've pretty much removed it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So your food was okay, and your social life was okay. You went to Austria after the Elbe.
In Austria, we were 8,000 or 10,000 feet up in the Alps at a resort. Everybody had cabins right on a big lake.
Really?
What a deal. What a deal.
Whereabouts was that?
Outside of Salzburg.
Salzburg.
Salzburg, yeah.
Have you ever gone back there?
I would love to, but
yeah.
some of my girlfriends might be back there. They're old ladies now.
Ah, yes. So what did you do when you were there?
We gathered up all the equipment.
And you actually worked while you were...
Everybody had a job, yeah. Collecting. All the outfits brought their stuff to us. You could see jeeps. As far as the eye could see, trucks.
Really?
Yeah, we had to get them down on paper.
Okay,
Get an inventory, you know.
So you were not only inventorying them, you were repairing the machinery of the tanks.
Not at that time.
The ordnance, but you were on the jeeps and the trucks at this time.
Yeah. Well, nobody was doing any repairing at that time. The war was over, so.
So you were inventorying?
Yeah.
Okay.
There was outfits that got rid of the stuff.
How did they dispose of all this equipment?
I heard they gave a lot to the occupation army and to the French, to the Allies, you know.
How were your relationships with the French?
The people, very good.
People were very fine?
Yeah, very good.
And how about the French army? People in the
The only people we saw French army was the day they liberated Paris. They let de Gaulle and his French army go first.
You saw that?
Yeah. We went the second day.
You went the second?
We went the second day, yeah.
What did you do? Just march down the main road?
We were in back of a 6x6, kissing all the girls as they went along.
Okay. And they were genuinely happy to see you?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I got some pictures that showed.
Okay. All right. What do you feel about the service at this time? Because we're interviewing you in the year 2002, and this tape will probably be seen by people who maybe in the year 2020 will be thinking about going into the service. What would you advise them? How would you advise them about going into the service?
Well, we got to have a strong service, strong Army, Navy, Air Force, all the time.
Peacetime?
Even in peacetime, because there are a lot of people in this world are out to get us through envy or whatever it is.
Yes.
And there are a lot of bad people in this world, even though that'd be the last thing I'd want to do is go to war with anybody. You try to settle it the peaceful way, but you got to be strong.
But you would recommend that they do consider serving in the armed forces.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, I go for what do you call it? Everybody goes in the service.
Universal military training?
Yes, yes, yeah.
Okay, because you realize now that our Army and Air Force and all of our military services now are volunteer, and
Right.
that's a major a change in what it used to be. Now, after you got through in Austria, did you eventually come back to the United States?
We came back to Marseille.
That's in southern France.
Southern France, waited for a ship to take us to Pacific.
I see.
That was in July.
Oh, yeah.
And we got everything cosmolined, ready to ship out when they dropped the atomic bomb.
Oh, really?
Everything was canceled.
Really?
Boy,
So, where were you when the atomic bomb was dropped?
In Marseille, in one of those camps.
In other words, you hadn't left yet.
No.
Okay.
No.
But you were prepared to go to the Pacific if necessary.
Yeah.
I see. And so that's where they dropped you and then brought you back home.
Yeah.
And where did you land?
Newport News, Virginia.
And
And then we went to Devon's again.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's where they cashiered you up?
Yep.
Okay. Did you stay single from the time you went in and the time you got out?
Yeah.
Okay. All
A
right.
couple of close calls, but
Okay. Now, some of these pictures that you have, would you like to show us any of them?
well, I'll show you the massacre of the.
Oh, did you? I was going to ask you. How about the concentration camps? Did you?
It wasn't a concentration camp. It was a large brick barn that could hold as much as over 1,000 people, and the Germans put them in. There was a lot of hay. It must have been a farm barn, you know.
You were
And
talking about a massacre. Who was being massacred?
well, I called it a massacre in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And who did they massacre?
Allied soldiers. See, there's
Really?
yeah.
I see.
You couldn't be sure what they were. They were burned.
This is a picture that is called
That's what
Gardelegen
Gardelegen.
Military Cemetery.
No, yeah, it's a
I don't
cemetery.
know if you can see that. This was
No.
Gardelegen where they were.
Yeah.
Where they were. Okay.
Oh, he's going to put him over there.
Okay. And it says
Get some
here
very.
lies 1,018 Allied prisoners of war who were murdered by their captors. They were buried by citizens of Gardelegen who are charged with the responsibility that graves are for something kept as green as the memory of the unfortunates will be kept by the hearts of freedom-loving men everywhere.
What they did was a mass grave, dug a trench, threw everybody in there, and just as we were getting there, our outfit made them take everybody, pull out everybody, and put them individual graves like this.
Why did the Germans massacre these people?
I think they saw the American army coming.
Oh, I say the part of the 1,016 victims buried at Gardelegen. And these were troops that were just shot. Were they shot or burned? Or you don't know.
My recollection was
Looks
that
like they were shot. They don't look there.
they were burned so badly you couldn't hardly tell.
And who did the exhumation and the resettlement?
The people of the Gardelegen,
They were forced.
men
to do
and
that.
women, they took them all out.
How did they get them? How did they get them?
By that time, they had this government temporary what do you call it? I'm starting to forget. People, American military people, come in and get organize town leaders. They made the town leaders get all the people to the site there and
This is amazing.
rebury them.
These are all civilians that seem to be taking these bodies out and
Yeah.
resettling them. Oh my God, isn't this something? This is awful.
And that's only the small part, only 1,000.
Did you see any of the camps, camps connected with the Holocaust and the Jews? And,
We visited them after the war, yeah.
you mean Auschwitz?
Belsen, that's the
Belsen.
Yeah, Belsen is German, British. They captured that.
And you have here
That's my ordnance company,
your
yeah.
ordnance company in Austin.
Kind of scared, and I yelled halt 3 times, like you're supposed to. Then the scratching still come closer and closer. So I took my submachine M3,
Oh my God!
sprayed the area, and the scratching stopped.
Uh-huh.
So when they picked me up at 4 o'clock that night, in the morning, I went back to camp and went to sleep. And Eddie Serenosian
Yeah.
took my place.
Yeah.
When he come back at 8 o'clock in the morning, he says, "What the hell happened?" I says, "Well, I told him a story. You jackass, you killed your buddy there," he says.
Oh, really?
You killed a donkey, the pet.
This was in Arizona.
Yeah.
At 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. Okay. So you have these various pictures, and we'll have Roger put them in there. Okay. Anything else that you think would be important to let these people know about your experiences in the service that you'd like to add?
Well, it was $1 million experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but I would want to do it again.
Mm-hmm. And when you joined the MVets here in Post 41, how did you feel about that?
Well, I felt very proud of my service, and then the people that fought alongside.
Did you compare your experiences with some of your other comrades in the post?
We don't talk about it much.
You really don't?
No.
Yeah.
No, we don't talk about it much.
Yeah. I think that may be one of the reasons why we're having the Oral History Project, because those of us who went through the service have some kind of a feeling that perhaps we shouldn't talk about experiences that are horrible. Maybe they should bring them up. Maybe we should use them as a lesson for people who want to go to war.
I know a few people, one or two people that you think they won the war single-handedly.
Right.
You're only one of several million. Did your little bit, and what you did, that's not. I wouldn't talk about it.
You feel that you did your bit?
I think I did my bit. Yeah. No hero, just ordinary.
But you have won the Cold War Recognition Certificate, and you've also received a certificate for the liberation of France from the French government as well.
Yes, that was quite a thing. That was a couple of years ago.
Yes, yes. The French government has finally come around to recognize that the Americans.
50 some odd years later.
We did actually free France.
He tried to kiss me on both cheeks. I gave him a...
You gave him a...
yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to terminate the interview here. Roger will probably tape some of these pictures, and this is Major Greg Arabian, for Judge Advocate of Post 41, signing off with Tony Seferian and thanking you for your viewing.
Thank you.
That's it. That's very good.
No question.
Okay, this is Anthony Seferian's pictures. Anthony Seferian. Anthony Seferian, it must be on the left. More Anthony Seferian. I think he's up on the left there, upper left. Anthony Seferian. In France. Anthony Seferian, American, over 1,000 American prisoners of war murdered by the Germans. Germans reburying the Americans, prisoners of war who had been murdered. German civilians are reburying the American dead. They did already. Graves of the soldiers had been reburied. It's all part of the collection of Anthony Seferian.